What's up, guys? Tristan and Tony here with the Zero Duck 30 podcast. So, if you followed us for a while, you know that Huntwise is the app that we work with as far as our GPS and all that good stuff. Um, they recently allowed us to offer something to our followers. So, Tony, why don't you tell them about what we got going on with Huntwise?
First of all, I just want to preface the fact that um, I've used every app out there for years. I went through and tested them all. We hunt in probably 6 different states across the United States, all kinds of different terrain. Um, I had a game warden come up to me in the state of Arkansas and ask me where I got that map. It was Huntwise. Um, you're not going to find a better product out there as far as a tool that you need to get you where you need to go in scouting. But what they're going to be doing from now on is offering a 20% discount off all their products. So you can get 20% off of their Pro, 20% off their Elite. And I mean, is there another hunting app out there that has social media?
I don't know if there is. Not that has the GPS portion to it and, the hunt predicting and all that good stuff. There's ones that are, dedicated just to that, um, but the code for the Huntwise is Duck30, all
Yep.
caps. And then we're also going to post a link in the YouTube video description and then Apple Music and Spotify descriptions as well. But yeah.
You guys, and at the very least, go download it,
hmm
try the free version, and check it out. I mean, when you're an Elite member, you get discount codes to all kinds of major manufacturers. I'm talking, if you're Duck Hunter Avian X, does that ring a bell?
hmm
All kinds of them.
Frog Togs.
Frog Togs, I mean, all kinds of different manufacturers just as being an Elite member. So you're saving that money over the course of a year immediately, I guarantee you, on just one order of decoys.
For sure.
And then you got the social media piece. You got hunting predictions that you can do for different species of animals. Like sharing our logs through social media. That's another big piece. But the mapping is just incredible. There's so many different mapping options. So you guys check them out.
Heck yeah. So today we're going to be talking about the new age hunter and social media and how that affects all hunters. So take it.
Well, it feels a little uncomfortable for me to talk about it, to be honest with you, because I feel like I'm on the other side of the fence. And I feel like there's this fence here. And if you've hunted with us, you'll know that Tristan and I always get along. always. No, it's just the opposite of that. We fight passionately about what we do because we're honestly coming from two different worlds in a lot of ways. Even though he's my son and I know him better than anything, I didn't grow up in his era. I grew up in a different era, and it's a different world. And so we wanted to talk about it today because I think it'll help bridge a gap between people my age and people your age and younger.
Yeah, for sure. So how many years did you hunt before you even had a cell phone?
Most of it.
Yeah.
I mean, most of it, really.
Yeah. And, I think the iPhone came out in like 2007 or 2008. And my entire pretty much hunting life, I think I shot my first deer around 2007 or 2008.
Yeah, so. I shot mine in 1983.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go.
Yeah.
But basically, anybody that's been born I was born in 96, but anybody later than that's pretty much in the same boat I am, where anytime you've hunted, you've pretty much had some kind of access to phones or social media or, whatever. And it's ingrained in what we do now.
It is. Dads, people my age, moms, how frustrated have you been when you've been out on a hunt and your kid's like this? They're like this the whole time. Again, we're from two separate worlds. Mm-hmm. So I think it would be kind of cool, Tristan, is why do you guys do that stuff? I mean, really tell it from your perspective. Why?
Well, when social media first started, it was just, a way to keep up with your friends and post, cool stuff you're doing or whatever. And then it's kind of just ingrained into who we are and what we do now. And more so for people like, what we're doing with Zero Duck 30 and other waterfowl companies or whatever it is, if you have a presence in anything, you probably have a social media. And if you want to get stuff out to people, you got to be on social media because you're not mailing postcards anymore. It's you're not sending a pigeon, with a little note or whatever to get, to your subscribers.
He said a pigeon.
Yeah, to your subscribers. I mean, it's just that's the way things are now. And I guess it probably all started because, I mean, if we're all honest with ourselves, why do you post anything on social media? Because, oh, this was cool, I'm going to post it, and then all my friends are going to like it. Well, that's kind of how it started, and that's why everyone's pretty much on social media, is just to keep up with other people or whatever. But then, like I was going with our brand and that kind of thing, you just got to be on there to keep up with people. So
Yeah, it blows my mind. There's something you might be able to relate to if you're an older guy. Is when I first got into hunting, I was given a plastic flashlight from Dollar General with two D batteries in it, and my bare bow, and I don't know, some of my stepdad's camo, I don't know, and no safety belt. And he walked me out to this spot a couple times and said, "This is where you're hunting at." Well, he didn't tell me that I'd be walking out there by myself. And he said, "Remember that spot I showed you?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, you have to walk out there to hunt this morning." And it was 45 minutes in the dark in the woods, and with no cell phone, with no GPS. So when I tell these guys where we're going, and I show them on these fancy, smancy cell phones and say, "This is where we need to go," and you give them a pin, and then they call you and go, "We're lost, so we can't figure it out." I want to knock them out, So no, but anyway, but no, it's just again, it's the difference between us.
Yeah, and that's interesting because one thing I like about the area we deer hunt in Illinois is you don't have signal. So now you can download these maps offline and that kind of thing. But before that, you still didn't have signal, so it forced you to remember how to get to different spots just by memory. And I'm thankful for that on that WMA because I could go there now and go to pretty much anywhere you've ever showed me. Now, if we were to go to certain WMAs in Arkansas we've duck hunted, or certain WMAs in Florida or whatever that we use, these pins to get to, there's no way in hell I'm finding like there's just no way. So
no, it works the same on the roads. I mean, how often, we just moved to Georgia last year, and I still find myself using my GPS to go to common places.
Yeah.
And it's because, and I've actually forced myself sometimes to not use my GPS so I remember how to get there. It's silly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, it's ingrained.
It's like an extension of your mind.
Yeah, it is.
It really is, So, so Tristan, let's talk a little bit about, tell us, and just be boldly honest, what could the older generation do better to help get more people into the sport, have more patience with people in the sport? Because that's what we need to do, folks, is that we have to embrace this younger generation, and we need to know how to do that.
Yeah. I would just say patience, like you were saying, we're from two different worlds. You're 50 and I'm 25. And patience is just the key. I mean, when you take your kids out hunting, they're probably going to bring their phone, they're going to be playing a game or whatever. And the whole thing is you're wanting them to get out there so they can experience it. And once they experience it, everybody who has ever hunted knows they're going to be hooked. Mm-hmm. So once they get hooked, the fun ain't going to matter. Mm-mm. So just be patient with them, just get them out there and make it comfortable for them. And eventually they'll, come around to it. So
yeah. That's a great perspective. The other thing, and this is just my observation and opinion, and if you don't like it, I really don't care. But us older guys, when we see some younger people doing something that we would call stupid or out of line with our hunting ethics or rules or anything like that, your first reaction to that should be to help them, because you don't know what they know. And most of the time it's because they've had no leadership, nobody in their family that did that. They just saw something on TV, YouTube, might have saw Dr. Duck, might have saw us, somebody that inspired them to go out and hunt. And they just went out not knowing nothing because they just know that's where the ducks might be. And that's all they know. So, I think we need to be better about, grabbing those guys and saying, hey, get over here and hunt with us. Not why are you set up 100 yards away from me? If they're younger people, they're set up 100 yards from you because they don't know they're not supposed to set up 100 yards from you. In most cases, there are the occasional cases where you have people that are just dumb, and you can't help that. But anyway, I think that's a very important part.
Yeah. And to kind of piggyback on that, um, people feel like they can't ask questions on social media to find these things out. And we've talked about before, if you didn't have a family that kind of taught you these things or a good friend, you're not going to know ethics of hunting, the ins and outs and that kind of thing, the unwritten rules. But if you go on any, and we talked about this in the last podcast, if you go on any social media page and innocently ask, let's say you innocently ask, how far away should I be from the next hunter? You're going to have jackasses that are saying 3 miles, like, like it's just, and
Somebody will probably say, if you go in this cove on this lake and set up there, that's just fine.
yeah, I mean, so I think everybody should be more patient with new hunters, especially people that have grown up on social media, because if you shoot them down asking an innocent question online and they don't have anywhere else to go to, then they're probably just going to go out there and do whatever they've heard, which could be something stupid. It could not be, but if it is something stupid, then it just could lead to frustration in the field, and then just a bad cycle of things.
Right. And I don't know, I think most people would agree with me when I say this, is that whether we're a hunter that's, I mean, I want to say a young adult, let's say 18, 16, but I've met a lot of young men that were young adults at 15, whatever. Let's say you take that and you take the older guy. One thing that we all have in common is the love of the sport.
Mm-hmm.
We all love the sport. So I think that, and I've always thought this as far as deer hunting, because this is what was taught to me as a hunter, is that we're kind of ambassadors of the sport
Mm-hmm.
when we're older. It's not just DU, it's not just Delta Waterfowl, it's not these big organizations, but it's important for every one of you to be an ambassador of the sport. So I'll tell you what, I'm not going to be that guy that, I get done when I can't do this no more physically, that I didn't help as many people as I could, because I will live through them what I've done.
Mm-hmm.
And, Tristan did that TikTok about nothing more gratifying than helping somebody out. If you've done that, well, first off, let me say, if you haven't done that, then you need to look at yourself, because you've been a pretty selfish hunter. All right. Secondly, if you've done it and you didn't enjoy it, you need to look at yourself as a hunter.
Yeah.
Because you're missing something. But anyway, that's what we're getting back to. And I think that's just a great way to go about it.
Yeah, for sure. And thankfully, through the years of hunting you've had and that kind of thing, and just the situation you're in with your life, I've been able to bring some of my friends that on my own, I wouldn't have been able to get them into hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with that being said, we've always been big on, like, if you're going to help somebody, they got to want to help themselves, know?
Absolutely.
You can tell everybody what kind of this X, Y, and Z they need, but if they're not going to go out and get it, you can loan them some stuff and that kind of thing. But, not everybody can just be like, oh, here's a shotgun, here's a bow, here's some waders. So thankfully, my friends that have wanted to get into hunting, you've been able to kind of help them out, which has been really nice. Because it's been gratifying for both of us. We've been able to help some of my friends get their first deer, get their first duck, whatever it might be, and it's been really fun.
Yeah. No, if you've got a piece of equipment and you got two of them, you better put that in somebody else's hands. I mean, Tristan has seen it all his life. Me growing up, that's just what we do, not going to name any names, but a good friend of ours, wanted to get into bow hunting, and I donated a bow that went back as far as my mom. And we'll talk about my mom some other time, but she was the first man or woman in the world to shoot 3 non-typical whitetails that made the record book.
So, and that bow is like 90s, right?
Yeah. So anyway, point being, and not to get off track, is getting people into the sport.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey guys, welcome back. As you know, today we're talking about social media and the new age hunter. So I wanted to interview Tristan a little bit today to talk about some things that we could offer you guys to help promote your social media and hopefully save you a lot of pain along the way. So with that said, Tristan, why don't you tell us a little bit about what are some of the hurdles or what are some of the things you've had to go through and learn for us to get the jumps that we've had? I mean, in September of last year, we had 600 followers. To date, we're almost at 1,400 followers, and these are not fake followers.
Yeah.
I want to be clear about that. They're all organic. Tristan's approved every single one. But talk about that.
Yeah. So, man, this is a really loaded topic, but the main thing is keeping up with whatever platform you're on. And this is dumb that we even have to do this, but you got to keep up with their kind of like terms of service, I guess, as far as what they'll allow. Because, some days, and this isn't even hunting related, but, it'll come up where, it'll say use 20, 30 hashtags. And then the next month, there's, whatever will say that you're supposed to use 5 hashtags. And so it's important to keep up with that stuff. But the toughest thing is being a hunter, you kind of get, I don't know if you want to call it shadow banned, but for sure on TikTok, if you post anything with a duck, a gun, anything, it's getting taken off. And we actually got our page banned at 23,000 followers, which is pretty frustrating. So we're back on there at _0duck30 if you want to give us a follow. Now Instagram and Facebook are a little bit more lenient. We don't really mess with Twitter too much, even though we do have a Twitter. They're a little bit more lenient, and some stuff seems to do better, but the organic growth thing is the most important thing you said, because everybody that we have follow us, I try to shoot them a message and say, hey man, thanks for following us. So everybody we're followed or that's following us, we're connected to, and it's an organic follow.
Mm-hmm.
Like you were touching on, people can have fake followers. I don't know how they do it. They buy them or whatever, but then your interaction isn't as good. So it's important that you interact with your followers, because if you build a genuine relationship with somebody on social media, they're going to be more inclined to like your post, comment, and that kind of thing. And actually, he's going to come on the podcast eventually, but the Flock Doc, Drew Rossman on Instagram and Facebook, he's part of Drake Waterfowl staff, and he's a really cool guy in Idaho. And we've talked for like 2 years, and it started, I don't even know if I followed him or he followed us or what, but now me and Tony are going to go out there and hunt with him this year.
Mm-hmm.
So you never know where it'll lead, but that's the most important thing, is having that organic growth with your followers. And obviously not everybody has the time to keep up with people all the time, but just something simple like shooting a message can go a long way. And yeah, that's kind of.
Well, yeah, and so like, is there any like mistakes that come off the top of your head? When you think about, you look back, you say hindsight's 2020. I could have done that better, or I could have done that reel better, or that picture, or the hashtags, or the comments, or whatever that part of that stuff is. Whatever, press holder guys. But what are some of the mistakes that you've seen yourself make?
I would say early on, posting lower quality content. Obviously, we want to keep it real and show the reality, but there's a fine line between being too produced and being underproduced. So we try to post stuff that is high quality stuff, but it's just lighthearted.
Because Instagram likes to grab that stuff, right?
Yes. So Instagram, whatever their algorithm is, they can somehow tell if something's like a blurry, crazy picture versus like a high quality picture. And one thing that I've noticed that it seems to do better on my page or our page versus not is if you post stuff like of let's say bird like a bunch of ducks coming into a spread versus like you holding a dead duck. I think something with them realizing you're holding a dead duck, they won't promote your post as much as these flying ducks and this cool thing. And I don't know how their algorithm does that, but that's kind of something I'm starting to realize with reels is they do better when it's not so bloody and gory, which is dumb again. But to build a following in these platforms, you kind of got to play within their rules. So
Right. Right. And, I think over time things will change. I mean, we've seen it with music, with Elvis Presley. We've seen it with television, with all kinds of things over the years, and I think that'll continue to change. But, you know, so, you know, our journey has been, we started with one follower.
hmm
We've watched our followers jump every time we get out in the community
hmm
and meet other hunters, whether it's private land, most of the time it's public land.
hmm
Um, and so we've done that, and we watch our social media jump when that stuff happens. Um, Talk a bit about that.
Yeah, so that's actually one of the funnest things because, if you're hunting and you're talking to people at a boat ramp or whatever, and then it just comes up, yeah, what's that sticker on the side of your boat, Zero Duck 30? Well, we got a YouTube page, whatever, and then you might be talking with 5, 10 guys, and then they all follow you, but those are that's better than the organic following you can create just through social media because you're shaking these guys' hands, you're meeting them, it's a story. You might even hunt with them, you might
Hmm.
share a biscuit with them, somebody's
Whatever.
cooking or whatever. So that's definitely a great part about it, and that's something that we're trying to target more. Like, I know there's a couple DU events we're going to try to get to this summer, just really just to meet people. I mean, in Georgia, we're new to North Georgia. We want to kind of connect with some of the local duck hunters up here, so it's important stuff.
Yep, yep. And I'll give a little plug right now. One decision that Tristan and I decided on last week is that this upcoming duck season, you're going to know where we are. We're not going to tell you exactly where we are on public land, but we're going to let you know what city we're going to be in, what town.
hmm
We want to get together with you guys,
Yeah.
and whether we go and have a beer and a burger, or whatever it might be. It might be just a boat ramp, whatever. But we want to spread that community feeling of getting out there and meeting other hunters and growing the sport. So anyway,
Yeah, and one thing I want to say, with that is that's a beautiful aspect of social media right there. Is we can post something, not even know whoever, and then they might see it and be, oh yeah, well, sure, let's go meet up with some other duck hunters at Buffalo Wild Wings or whatever and hang out. And as much as downfall social media has, that's a really great side of it is how we can connect with each other and form strong relationships as hunters. So
yeah, and it's going to help you. It's going to help us all out. I mean, I remember, not to get off topic, but I was on the way to hunt public land in Arkansas this year, and I was by myself, and I was meeting some people, and it was pouring. I mean, pouring down rain an hour before sunrise, or hours before sunrise. And I looked on Facebook, and one of the combat waterfowl guys just said, "Is anybody else as crazy as I am?"
yeah, yeah.
And I said, "Yeah, bro." I said, "Where you at?" And then we started talking and stuff. It's so cool because I hunted with this guy,
Mhm.
and we got to hunt together, and then we're catching each other on social media. So very cool. Tristan, what would you say to a guy if they're just getting started? Hey, I just got my Instagram going, or maybe I just got this Instagram going for my waterfowl or whatever kind of hunting they're doing.
Yeah,
What would you say is kind of a basic thing? Keep it simple, stupid, as they say, the KISS effect.
yeah.
What should they start off with, and what should they start doing?
I would say consistency is probably the most important thing because whether you do it right or wrong or whatever, and you find your little niche, whatever, like I was talking earlier, the things we found that work and don't work. If you're consistent, you can find those things out. And regardless if you're consistent, people are gonna, and you create that organic, following. That's the other important thing. People are gonna interact with your stuff, but just be consistent. Even if it's twice a week, 3 days a week, just be consistent. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, posting. It, as much as I hate TikTok, TikTok is such a like driving force in social media now. You can literally have a funny video go for 1 million views and then you got 20,000 followers. That's really all it takes. And Instagram, the way their algorithm is, that ain't gonna happen. You just get the trickle in effect on Instagram, but TikTok's important. And if you're gonna do the YouTube thing, again, consistency and just figuring it out. I was talking to a guy the other day that I really value his opinion. Outside the levees, Jared. I was just kind of asking. He's got a really good YouTube page and kind of his perspective on a few things. And he was saying that it seems that the quality of the video doesn't matter as much as the consistency and then your thumbnail and the title
On YouTube.
on YouTube.
Yep.
Which is kind of, frustrating if you're trying to do something high quality, but at the same time, if you're just trying to get followers and get your stuff rolling, just start posting, man. Get a good thumbnail, and just be consistent. That's what I would say.
And be you.
Be you. That's the most important thing. And since day one, that's something we've always focused on, is just the reality and being us. So
That's exactly right. And that's exactly what we're out to do, is just be us. So with the social media piece as well, it can be used to grow whatever you're trying to do, whatever you're trying to show off. We've talked a little bit about, some of the challenges that you have in that, what you need to do. You talk about the consistency of that. One thing we haven't talked about is how hard is it to be consistent?
Yeah.
To have that footage.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about what we have had to do, what you've had to do to do that.
It's really hard. You got to get creative. And that starts during the season. Every time you're hunting, you need to be taking pictures, and then the old guys get off your phone, but it's like, hey, I'm running.
It's constant.
Yeah.
It's a constant thing. What we call, did you get that B-roll?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you got to have that stuff to post consistently throughout the off season, or you're going to be in a hole, because that's just the way it goes.
It takes a lot.
Yeah. And, excuse me. One thing that's really helped us this year is, versus going into last off season. Last off season was our first year, into duck hunting on social media and that kind of thing. And we were going with what we just took on our phones, those pictures. This year we got Dalton with Salty Shots, and he got a lot of high quality stuff that I kind of sprinkle in with the stuff we've taken with our phones and that kind of thing. And the other thing I've really been focusing on is video too. Not just posting pictures. Video seems to be the way that Instagram and Facebook are going to kind of match TikTok. I know, you're big on watching Instagram Reels just the same way I'm with TikTok, and Instagram's trying to catch up. So I think they're kind of promoting Reels a little bit more. So that's why I've been focusing on our social media a lot more with video content. So.
Right. Well, and to get one reel, like, one thing that comes to mind real quick is some of these little things that you just don't think about. Tristan and I were about halfway through the season this year, and we looked at each other and we both agreed that we had failed on B-roll.
Yeah.
We had failed. We put out a couple episodes this year, you guys, that we're not happy with. They're still good episodes, keep in mind, but we missed so much.
Yeah.
And it's about the reality of hunting. So we had to really get back on point of both of us constantly videoing. I mean, it might be Tristan pouring a cup of coffee in the blind. Like, there's a really cool slow-mo I got of him pouring a coffee. That kind of stuff is that's what makes it entertaining.
Yeah.
It's cinematic. And those things are just not easy to do, especially with implementation of needing so much more video.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just something that's always got to be on the forefront of your mind. because if not, we're going to end up in the same situation we were. And like you said, they weren't bad videos, and it's good that we posted them for consistency and that kind of thing. But you're your own worst critic, so you're looking back on it and saying, man, if I could have just painted the picture a little bit better. Naturally, hunting's kind of stressful, and you're trying to find your spot on public land or whatever it might be, and then you get caught up in that, and then you forget, shit, I forgot to tell the whole story. So
Yep. No, it happens a lot, but yeah, guys, we just wanted to bring up this topic today, talk more about it. We can talk more about it if you guys want to. Just tell us, hey, let's dive in more, or give us some more subject points. But that kind of wraps up our podcast for today. We thank you guys for tuning in. Tristan, you got any words for people before we take off?
If you guys could just please rate and subscribe and all that good stuff, we really appreciate it. And we're all the social medias at Zero Duck 30. And thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
I've been southbound